Welcome, Secretary Duncan. We're so happy that you could come to Alaska. We know that your time is short here, so we have put together a series of interviews for you from people who really work in rural Alaska in our village schools, and to give you some perspective on how they see education in our state. Some of our smallest schools in Alaska have as few as 10 students. To ask those students to meet all of the qualifications as their peers in larger schools is a reasonable expectation if they want to receive a diploma. But in order for a teacher to be highly qualified to teach students in all the different content areas is really unreasonable. Further, to send a letter home to parents saying that the teacher that is in the classroom with their children every day is not highly qualified diminishes their capacity to really be effective as a teacher in that community.
I don't think that the people that wrote NCLB had any clue about what it's like in rural Alaska.
We have students at the 4th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, and 12th grade levels right now. I do the secondary, my husband does the elementary.
You know, there's just no way that you could expect one person to be highly qualified in the diversity of all the different things they have to teach.
When our students are given a test that measures whether they are learning based upon their knowledge base of sidewalks, lawnmowers, roads, malls, and restaurants, our kids can't compete, and it looks like they're not learning. But in fact, our kids are learning a tremendous amount. We have no way to measure that based on a standardized test that is not a frame of reference for our kids at all. The indigenous language in many communities in Alaska is alive and well, and our kids are learning, but we have no way to show that when we are measured by some artificial test.
You know, we do the testing for English language learning each year, and most of our students are considered to be ELL.
If you ask them about boats, and you ask them about snow machines, if you ask them about dog sleds, if you ask them about things that they could understand in the village, and that was part of the test, then it would be relevant.
But that test is made for every single student. But yet, on the flip side of that, we have differentiated instruction. We recognize that students are different, and they bring different things to the classroom. They bring different backgrounds, cultural influences, etc. But we give them a test that is a one-size-fits-all test.
One of the things that makes Alaska truly unique, even when compared to other rural states in the country, is the fact that our school districts in many cases must provide housing for teachers. We don't have an option for rentals being available due to many of the provisions of the Native Land Claims Act. Because teachers have to spend the kind of energy that they do in emptying honey buckets and pumping their oil, packing water. So we need some help with making sure that quality, reasonable housing is available for teachers in every community.
In districts I've been in rural Alaska, it has been an issue. You know, they'll usually provide some type of housing, but that doesn't mean it's adequate housing or that the plumbing works.
This is our honey bucket here. This is where we have to use a bathroom. It's just a box with a toilet seat that covers a bucket. You have to use the bathroom, and then when it gets so full, you take it and you wrap it up, you tie it off, and then you take the bucket out and you take it outside.
There's no housing and hardly any housing, and people have to room together. And then you have the challenge of having male roommates, female roommates.
If we had better housing and we had a better living wage, we could probably afford, you know, to keep our teachers, and then we'd have better consistency within our schools and our education.
In rural Alaska, our teacher turnover rates are extremely high. It wasn't always that way, and in fact, the turnover rates were shrinking previous to NCLB. we were increasing the number of indigenous teachers who were coming into the profession and really enjoyed the idea of sharing a love of learning. Now they see teachers teaching to a test and being required to meet such stringent guidelines that they no longer have an interest in becoming teachers. We are not producing enough teachers in this state to begin with, and to then discourage them from coming into the education field is really a crime.
We got teachers from all over the place, Montana, Oklahoma, North Carolina, and we're just getting a new teacher, and I don't know from where, but yeah, there's a lot of turnover.
As a teacher that's been there for a lot of years, I've seen so many curriculum directors come in and either be there 1, 2, or 3 years and not have any follow through, not have any coherence in programming.
The high teacher turnover has a very negative impact on our students. I have been in the village for 4 years. This will be my 5th, and it's taken this long just for the parents and students to trust me. So you can imagine if teachers are coming in and out for a year or 2 years, then that affects the relationship that students have with their teachers in the classroom, which impacts their ability to learn.
People in the lower 48, you know, they have their concept of rural, but they don't have Alaska's concept of rural Alaska. They don't have the concept of what it's like to live in the village, to live with the challenges in the village.